Hello, everyone. If you enjoy calm English conversations like this, take a second to like and subscribe so more learners can find us. I'm Anna.
And I'm Mike. We're really glad you're here with us today.
Wherever you are right now, just settle in. Maybe you're sitting on your bed, maybe you're walking, maybe your phone is already in your hand. That's okay. You don't have to change anything. Just listen with us for a bit.
Yeah, no pressure. This is not a test. It's more like a quiet chat you can keep in your ear while life keeps moving.
Let me ask you something gently. When was the last time you picked up a book and read more than a few pages? Not for school, not because you had to, just because you wanted to.
And if your first thought is, I don't really read, you're not alone. A lot of people feel that way now. They might watch videos, listen to podcasts, scroll for a long time, but reading feels heavier somehow.
I hear people say, I want to read more, but I don't have time. Or, I try, but my brain feels tired. And honestly, that makes sense. Our days are full. Messages, work, noise, information everywhere.
It's interesting, though. Even when we say we don't have time, somehow time appears for scrolling. 5 minutes turns into 20. 20 turns into an hour. Your eyes are tired, but your thumb keeps moving.
And when someone says, why don't you read a book instead? Your mind might answer, no, that sounds like work. It's not because reading is bad. It's because our brains have learned a new rhythm.
A fast rhythm. Short clips, quick rewards, always something new. Reading asks for something different. It asks you to slow down and stay with one thing for a while.
Today, we want to talk about how reading affects your brain, not in a scientific way, not with big words, just in a human way. How it changes your focus, your feelings, and the way you think about other people.
And also how it feels to read in this busy world. Because if reading feels hard for you right now, there's nothing wrong with you. Your brain is not broken. It's just tired.
Exactly. We're not here to tell you to stop watching videos or using your phone. Everyone needs rest. Everyone needs something easy sometimes.
What we want to do is sit with you and look at reading from a different angle. Not as homework, not as something you should do, just as one possible quiet space for your mind.
You don't need to understand every word we say today. Let the ideas come and go. If something stays with you, great. If not, that's okay too.
And by the end, we'll also slow things down even more and look at some useful English words and phrases from this episode, so they can feel natural for you later.
So, take a breath. Let your shoulders relax a little. You don't have to rush anywhere right now.
We're here with you. Let's begin.
Before we go deeper, I want you to think about something simple. Many people say they don't have time to read, but the day still disappears somehow.
Yeah, it's a strange feeling. You look at the clock and think, where did the time go? You didn't really do anything big, but the hours are gone.
I've said it myself so many times. I'll read later. I'm too busy today. My brain is too full. And sometimes those things are true. Life can be heavy.
Work, family, chores, messages, problems that don't stop knocking. By the evening, your energy feels very low. You just want something easy.
And easy usually means something that doesn't ask much from your brain. You watch, you scroll, you listen without really listening. Your mind stays half awake.
Reading feels different. When you see a page full of words, your brain knows it has to do some work. Not hard work, but quiet work. And sometimes that feels like too much.
I think many of us feel a small kind of guilt about this. We tell ourselves, I should read more, especially if we're learning English. Reading sounds like the good choice.
But then the day ends and you choose the easier thing again. And then the guilt comes back. It's like a loop.
Here's the thing. This doesn't mean you're lazy. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means your brain is tired from a very noisy world.
We live with constant information, notifications, news, short videos, sounds everywhere. Your brain is always reacting. There's very little quiet.
So when reading asks for stillness, your mind pushes back. It says, no, I don't want more effort, even if that effort is gentle.
I notice this when I try to read after a long day. I open the book, read 2 paragraphs, and suddenly my hand is reaching for my phone without me thinking about it.
Same. It's almost automatic. Not because the book is boring, but because my brain is looking for something faster, something brighter.
And phones are designed for that. They give quick rewards, a new image, a new idea, a small hit of interest every few seconds.
Reading doesn't work like that. It asks you to stay with one voice, one story, one line after another. That can feel uncomfortable at first.
But uncomfortable doesn't mean bad. It just means unfamiliar. Our brains have learned one rhythm, and reading speaks a different language.
So here's a question for you, and I really want you to answer it in the comments. When you think about reading, what is the biggest reason you usually stop or avoid it?
There's no right or wrong answer. Some people feel bored. Some people feel tired. Some people feel distracted. All of that is normal.
The important thing is to notice, not judge. If you can see what stops you, you can understand yourself a little better.
And understanding is always the first step before any change. Not pressure, not rules, just awareness.
We're not here to say scrolling is bad and reading is good. Life isn't that simple. Sometimes you really do need something light.
But reading offers a different kind of rest. Not loud, not fast, a quieter rest that asks you to slow down instead of speeding up.
And that's why it feels hard in the beginning, because slowing down feels strange when you're used to moving fast all day.
In the next part, we'll talk about what actually happens to your focus when you read, even for a short time.
Let's talk about focus for a moment, because this is where many people notice the biggest difference. When your mind feels scattered all day, it's hard to stay with one thing for long.
Yeah, you might sit down to read and think, okay, I'll focus now. But after a few lines, your thoughts start drifting. You remember a message you didn't reply to. You think about tomorrow. You check the time.
That can feel frustrating. You might tell yourself, I can't focus anymore, or something is wrong with my attention. But that's not really the full story.
Focus is a skill. And like any skill, it changes depending on how you use it. If your day is full of jumping from one thing to another, your focus learns to jump too.
Reading asks your focus to slow down. One sentence leads to the next. One idea stays in your mind a little longer. There are no pop-ups, no sudden changes.
At first, your brain doesn't like that. It feels bored or restless. It wants the next thing right away. That's why the beginning can feel uncomfortable.
I like to think of it as noise fading slowly. When you first sit down with a book, your head is still full of the day. Thoughts are loud. Everything feels busy.
But if you stay with the page for a few minutes, something shifts. The noise doesn't disappear, but it gets quieter. Your thoughts start lining up instead of talking over each other.
For me, it feels like walking from a crowded street into a quiet room. At first, the quiet feels strange, almost too empty.
And then your body relaxes. Your breathing slows. Your shoulders drop a little without you noticing.
This is why even 10 minutes of reading can feel surprisingly calming. Not because reading is magic, but because it gives your attention one place to rest.
It's an active kind of rest. Your brain is doing something, but it's not reacting all the time. It's following, not chasing.
Over time, this changes how long you can focus. Not in one day, not in 1 week, but slowly, gently.
You might notice that you can read a little longer without checking your phone, or you can stay with a task without feeling so impatient.
And if you lose focus, that's okay. You don't fail. You just notice it and come back to the line you were reading.
That coming back is important. Every time you return your attention, you're training your focus again.
It's like telling your brain, this is safe. We can stay here. No rush. No emergency.
In a world that always asks for your attention, reading gives you a small space where you decide where it goes.
And that can feel powerful in a quiet way. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady.
In the next part, we'll look at what reading does to your brain over a longer time, not just in the moment, but over months and years.
When we talk about reading over a longer time, we're not talking about becoming a different person overnight. Changes happen slowly, almost in the background.
Yeah, most of the time you don't notice anything big from one day to the next. You just read, close the book, and move on with your life.
But over weeks and months, your brain starts making small connections. You see a word again that you met before. You understand it faster this time.
Or you read an idea in one book and later you see something similar in another place. Your brain links them together without you trying.
That linking is important. It's how learning grows. Reading gives your brain many chances to practice that.
Especially with language. When you read, you're not just learning words, you're learning how words live together in sentences.
You see patterns, how ideas start, how they continue, how they end. This helps your brain feel more comfortable with English.
And it's not only about language. Reading also keeps your mind active. It gives it something to explore instead of letting it stay on autopilot.
Some people worry that their memory is getting worse or that they forget things easily. Reading can help keep that part of your brain moving.
Not in a perfect way, not like a miracle, but like gentle exercise, a little movement every day.
I like to imagine each book as a small path in your mind. When you walk it once, it's narrow. When you walk it again, it gets clearer.
And the more paths you have, the easier it is to move around inside your own thoughts. Ideas don't feel so stuck.
This can make learning new things feel less scary. Your brain remembers how to learn, how to stay curious.
That's something we don't talk about enough. Reading doesn't just give information, it keeps curiosity alive.
And curiosity is what makes life feel bigger, even when your daily routine stays the same.
In the next part, we'll talk about something more emotional, what reading does to how we understand other people and ourselves.
One thing I didn't expect when I started reading more was how much it changed the way I felt toward other people.
Same here. Reading doesn't just stay on the page, it follows you into real life in quiet ways.
When you read a story, you spend time inside someone else's thoughts. You see the world from their side, even if their life is very different from yours.
I remember reading about a character who made a lot of bad decisions. At first, I was annoyed with them. I kept thinking, why would you do that?
But the longer I stayed with the story, the more I understood where those choices came from. Fear, pressure, old wounds.
And that changed something for me. I didn't suddenly agree with everything they did, but I understood them more.
That's what reading can do. It doesn't tell you who is right or wrong. It lets you sit with the mess.
In real life, we don't always get that chance. We see one moment, one action, and we judge quickly.
But after reading a lot of stories, it's harder to see people as simple, good or bad, kind or rude.
You start to think, maybe there's more behind this. Maybe today is heavy for them.
Reading also helps you understand your own feelings better. Sometimes you don't know how to explain what's happening inside you.
You just say, I'm fine, or I'm tired, even when that's not the full truth.
But then you read a line where a character says something like, I feel empty, or I feel pulled in too many directions.
And suddenly you think, that's it. That's what I feel.
Having words for your feelings matters, especially in another language. It helps you express instead of just translate.
It makes conversations deeper, more honest. You don't just report facts, you share experiences.
I think that's one of the quiet gifts of reading. It gives you language for the inside of your life.
And when you can understand yourself better, it becomes easier to understand others too.
That understanding doesn't make life perfect. People still hurt you, you still get angry.
But there's a little more space, a little more patience, a pause before judgment.
And that pause can change how a whole day feels.
Especially in a world where reactions are fast and emotions run high.
When people talk about reading, they often ask the same question, what should I read? As if there is one correct answer.
Yeah, like reading has rules. If you choose the wrong book, it doesn't count.
I don't believe that. I think reading is personal. What works for one person might feel boring to another.
Some people love learning facts, real stories, true experiences. They enjoy reading about history, travel, science, or people who lived very different lives.
Others want stories, characters, places that don't exist, or quiet stories about families and everyday moments.
And both are completely valid. One is not better than the other.
For me, fiction feels like visiting another world without leaving my room. I can slow down and just be there for a while.
For me, nonfiction feels like fuel. I read about someone who did something difficult, and it makes me think, maybe I can do my small thing too.
Some days I want comfort. Other days I want information. Reading can give both.
You also don't have to stay in one category. You can read one kind of book this month and something totally different next month.
The important part is that the book feels alive to you, that it pulls you in, even a little.
If you force yourself to read something you don't enjoy, reading will start to feel like punishment.
And then you'll avoid it again, not because you don't like reading, but because you don't like how it makes you feel.
It's okay to stop a book that doesn't work for you. That's not quitting, that's listening to yourself.
Reading should feel like an invitation, not an order.
When you find something that fits you, reading feels lighter, less effort, more natural.
And that makes it easier to come back to it again and again.
That's how reading slowly becomes part of your life, not something you push yourself to do.
Let's talk about how to actually begin, especially if reading feels hard right now. Not in a big, dramatic way, just small, realistic steps you can live with.
Because knowing why reading is helpful doesn't always make it easy to do.
Exactly. So instead of saying, I will read every day for an hour, it helps to go much smaller.
Smaller is better. Smaller feels possible.
You could start with 10 minutes, or 5 pages, or even one short chapter, something your brain doesn't want to argue with.
When the goal is small, your mind relaxes. It doesn't feel like a mountain.
Another simple thing that helps a lot is where your phone is. If it's next to you, it will call you, even if you don't hear it.
I've learned that the hard way. My phone can be silent, face down, and still somehow pull my attention.
So if you can, put it in another room, or in a bag, or on a shelf where you can't reach it easily.
That one small change makes a big difference.
I also like reading at the same time each day, if possible. Not because it's strict, but because my brain starts to recognize the moment.
Like a signal. Oh, this is our quiet time.
Same place helps too. Same chair, same corner, same light. Your mind learns faster than you think.
And then there are days when none of this works. You're tired, you have a lot going on, everything feels heavy.
On those days, reading 3 pages is still reading. Even 1 page counts.
The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to show your brain that slowing down is allowed.
You're not trying to become someone else. You're just giving yourself a small pause.
And over time, that pause becomes easier to enter.
Reading stops feeling like effort and starts feeling familiar.
Familiar is powerful. That's how habits grow without force.
There's one more idea that often stops people from reading, and I think it's important to talk about it honestly.
The idea that reading is not productive enough.
Yes. Many people feel that if they're not improving something or finishing a task, they're wasting time.
Rest starts to feel like a problem instead of a need.
I've felt that too. Sitting with a book can feel irresponsible when there are messages to answer and things to do.
But a hobby that brings you calm or joy is not a waste. It's part of taking care of yourself.
When I read before bed, my sleep is better. My mind doesn't race the same way it does after scrolling.
For me, reading slows my body down. My breathing changes. My thoughts stop jumping.
It's like pressing a small pause button on the day. Not a full stop, just a pause.
And while you're resting, your brain is still quietly working. It's learning. It's making connections.
So even if you read slowly, even if you only read a little, something good is still happening.
You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to earn your rest.
Reading doesn't have to make you smarter or better. It can simply make you calmer.
And calm is not the opposite of productivity. Sometimes it's what makes everything else possible.
Giving yourself that permission can change how you see your time.
Especially in a world that always asks you to do more.
Before we finish, let's slow things down a little more. You've heard a lot of ideas today, and it's okay if they feel soft or unclear right now.
You don't need to hold on to everything. Just let what feels useful stay with you.
One thing I like about conversations like this is that they don't ask you to change your life today.
They just open a small door. You decide later if you want to walk through it.
Reading can be like that too. Not a challenge, not a goal, just an option.
An option for a quieter moment in a busy day.
And even listening to this right now counts as giving your mind a little space.
You chose to be here. That already says something good about you.
In a moment, we're going to slow things down even more and look at some of the English words and phrases we use today.
Nothing fast, nothing stressful. Just clear meanings and simple examples.
You don't have to write anything down unless you want to.
Just listen and let the language settle naturally.
Now let's take a gentle walk through some of the words and phrases we use today. This is a calm moment. You don't need to rush or remember everything.
Even if one or two expressions stay with you, that's already enough.
Let's start with the word focus. Focus means giving your attention to one thing. When you focus, your mind is not jumping between many ideas.
For example, it's hard to focus when your phone keeps lighting up. Or, reading helps me focus better in the evening.
Another word we used is restless. Restless means you feel like you can't relax. Your body or mind wants to move or change.
For example, I feel restless when I sit still for too long. Or my mind feels restless after too much screen time.
We also talked about attention. Attention is what you choose to notice or think about.
For example, this book has my full attention. Or, it's hard to keep my attention on one task.
Let's look at familiar. Familiar means something feels known and comfortable because you've experienced it before.
For example, this cafe feels familiar to me. Or reading at night becomes familiar after a while.
Another useful word is permission. Permission means allowing yourself to do something.
For example, I gave myself permission to rest. Or, you don't need permission from anyone else to enjoy reading.
Now, a phrase we used, slow down. To slow down means to move or think more calmly and less quickly.
For example, I try to slow down in the evening. Or, reading helps me slow down after work.
Another common phrase is in the background. This means something is happening quietly while other things are happening.
For example, music was playing in the background. Or your brain is learning in the background while you read.
Let's look at effort. Effort means the energy you use to do something.
For example, reading takes effort at first. Or speaking English takes less effort over time.
We also used routine. A routine is something you do regularly, often at the same time or in the same way.
For example, my morning routine is simple. Or reading can become part of your daily routine.
One more phrase, part of your life. This means something fits naturally into your everyday days.
For example, walking is part of my life. Or reading slowly becomes part of your life.
You don't need to memorize these. Hearing them again and again is how they start to feel natural.
Language grows quietly, just like focus and calm.
Before we say goodbye, I just want to leave you with one gentle thought. Reading is not something you pass or fail at.
It's not a test of intelligence or discipline.
It's a place you can visit when you need a little quiet, even for a few minutes.
And if you're just starting, that's more than enough.
If you read slowly, that's okay. If you only read a few pages, that's okay too.
Every time you choose a book over noise, even briefly, you're giving your mind a small gift.
You're teaching it that it's allowed to slow down in a fast world.
And that matters more than reading a certain number of pages.
Thank you for spending this time with us and for taking care of your English and your mind.
We're really glad you were here.